What if aging could be paused? Time could be frozen, and humans could sleep for centuries. Would you call it science fiction? Or a forgotten reality? Can a human really sleep for 309 years? Or is that claim nothing more than myth, legend, or religious exaggeration? Imagine a sleep so deep that the heartbeat slows by nearly 95%, breathing shifts from seconds to minutes. Body temperature drops, aging almost freezes, and time itself seems to lose meaning. This is where the question truly begins, because science already acknowledges a phenomenon called hibernation, a biological survival mechanism used by nearly 2,000 species on Earth to escape harsh climates, food scarcity, and death itself, where genes inside living cells recognize danger and push the body into an extreme low-energy state, dramatically slowing metabolism, conserving life by feeding on stored fat and muscle, reducing oxygen demand, and suspending normal biological functions. Animals like bats, rodents, squirrels, certain primates, birds, reptiles, insects, and even bears prepare for hibernation by eating excessively to build fat reserves that will sustain them for months. And scientists confirm that once these creatures awaken, their first instinct is intense hunger and immediate hunting, and that is why the longest recorded hibernation in the modern scientific record belongs to a bat that slept for 344 days, nearly an entire year, without food or water. But this discovery opens a far more uncomfortable question. If animals can slow time biologically, can humans do the same? And if so, has it already happened? Modern science reveals another astonishing clue. Telomeres, protective DNA fragments located at the ends of chromosomes that shorten with every cell division, effectively acting as biological clocks that determine aging and lifespan. And laboratories today measure telomere length to estimate remaining life expectancy. Yet, during hibernation, these telomeres shrink at an incredibly slow rate, meaning aging nearly pauses. In simple terms, time stops ticking for the body, and suddenly, Hollywood's science fiction no longer feels fictional. As shown in the film Passengers, where thousands of humans travel 120 light-years through space inside hibernation pods, because a normal human lifespan cannot survive such a journey. Their aging slowed to a crawl while decades pass outside, until one man wakes up early due to a malfunction and realizes he still has 80 years of isolation ahead of him, turning the movie into a desperate struggle to return to hibernation. But here is the uncomfortable truth. What Hollywood imagines, the Qur'an described 14 centuries ago. Now consider Surah Kahf, where God states, "So we cast a veil of sleep over their ears within the cave for many years." And that phrase alone raises scientific eyebrows, because the inner ear is responsible for balance and sound detection. A sudden noise normally sends immediate signals to the brain to awaken the body. But in this case, that system was completely suspended. Then the Qur'an describes how the sun rose and set without directly touching them, shifting right and left from the cave's entrance, maintaining a stable internal temperature. And science confirms that most caves retain constant temperature year-round regardless of outside conditions, while direct sunlight increases free radical molecules that accelerate aging, meaning this precise solar positioning protected them from biological decay. Then comes another remarkable statement. You would think them awake, though they were asleep, suggesting blinking eyes, because science knows that keeping eyes closed for extended periods damages the optic nerve, while keeping them open destroys the cornea, and coma patients who awaken often suffer severe visual impairment. But here the Qur'an subtly describes blinking, asleep yet appearing awake. Then it adds, "We turned them to the right and to the left," a detail that modern medicine recognizes as essential, because prolonged immobility causes pressure ulcers, blood flow restriction, tissue death, and fatal infections. Yet these sleepers were regularly repositioned, as if monitored, protected, maintained, and when they finally awoke, they asked one another, "How long have we remained?" and answered, "A day or part of a day," demonstrating total time disorientation, which is a known effect of metabolic suspension. Yet their next action was not confusion but hunger, instructing one among them to go into the city and bring back the finest food, perfectly matching scientific observations that hibernating organisms emerge with extreme nutritional demand. And then comes the numerical precision that silences coincidence. 300 solar years, which convert precisely into 309 lunar years, exactly as stated in the Qur'an. And they remained in their cave for 300 years, and exceeded by 9. An astronomical accuracy impossible without advanced knowledge of lunar-solar conversion. And this is where science stops debating and starts questioning itself, because today institutions like NASA research human hibernation for deep space travel, trauma medicine, and critical care exploring ways to suspend metabolism, slow aging, and preserve life across extreme conditions. Yet the Quran documented a real-world case long before laboratories, microscopes, or genetics existed. And this was not the story of kings or prophets, but a few young men facing a tyrannical ruler, an oppressive society, and execution for their beliefs, who placed trust in God and were granted refuge, not just in space, but in time itself, a cave, a sleep, a biological suspension that preserved their body's faith and message. Today, a cave in Tarsus, Turkey, is recognized as a possible site of this event, acknowledged in Christian texts and Roman historical records. Yet none describe the phenomenon with the scientific coherence found in the Qur'an. And this is the real confrontation between man and religion. Because the question is no longer whether humans can sleep for centuries, but whether divine knowledge preceded human discovery, whether time itself obeys a higher command, and whether faith is not the enemy of science, but its earliest witness. So when someone asks, can a human really sleep for 309 years? The answer is no longer fantasy, mythology, or blind belief. It becomes a challenge to modern arrogance, a reminder that when the Creator wills, even time is placed into hibernation. This is not just the story of a cave, it is the story of time surrendering, science catching up, and humanity realizing it may have been late to the truth.